everybody to the channel. This is Everybody Needs a Hobby 1010. I'm Brian Heminger, and this is my YouTube channel. And not too long ago, I had the opportunity, the gift, really, to be able to purchase a Lamborghini. And when I did, the place that I wanted to buy it was Vegas Auto Gallery. They had the best selection, and when I came down here to look at Lambos, I saw mine sitting right here in the middle of the showroom, and it knocked me out, and that was it. And everybody here took such good care of me when I bought the car. I didn't just buy a car, I made some friends here. And I had the opportunity to meet the principal owner and have a couple of conversations with him, and he was gracious enough to agree to let me interview him. And so that's what we're doing. We are here this evening at Vegas Auto Gallery talking with Nick Dossa, the principal owner.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, Nick, let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Where were you born and raised?
Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Okay, and how do you end up in Vegas?
I'll give you the short version of that.
Okay.
So I'm a very big family person, and I lost my father at a very young age, and my mother sacrificed a lot to just kind of look after us and still work and do all that, and her health kind of started to slide. Yeah. And so she would always come out here to visit my brother who lived here, and every time she was here it would be way better health, like she was in better condition. So naturally one day I got a phone call and says, hey, you have to come out here, mom's not doing that great. So I get on a plane, I grabbed a duffel bag, and I ended up being here for 6 months. I wasn't supposed to be here I was supposed to be here for 2 days and go back home. So I ended up packing up everything in Canada eventually and moving here to be closer to family.
Yeah. What were you doing in Canada?
I was in the car business as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was another one of my questions.
Yeah.
Is how do you get into the car business?
This is a question I get asked a lot, and I think that some people say it's through family, or it's just what you love. My dad was a rally car driver. Okay. I'm sure it kind of dripped into my blood at some capacity. I've always had a passion for cars growing up. My mom was an avid car person as well, so I've always seen her have nice cars and always had a passion for it. So I think kind of it was inbred into me in that sense. Yeah. And I just love cars from a young age, I think it's just in my blood.
Yeah,
yeah. To be honest with you, it's there.
Yeah. Now, can you look back and see a particular car that really kind of flipped the switch for you? Maybe an iconic car that you always thought, this car makes me want to be in the business and deal with cars like this?
Yeah, 89 25th anniversary edition Countach.
That's the poster.
That was the one. Yeah, that was the poster. That's what I had on my wall, and then I also had a Porsche Turbo. Yeah. And so the old school turbos, that's what I had, those two posters, and I remember them vividly. So that was where I kind of was like, I got to have that one day.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, did you ever get an opportunity to own either one of those cars?
It's funny. My mom actually owned the 89 25th anniversary edition Countach in Canada. She was heavy in real estate, and it was one of the deals that she did, and she ended up with this car, and I got to drive it at a very young age. Wow. And it was just, once you do that at that age, you're done. You're done. You're done. Yeah. It's like there's no.
That is an awesome mom, sporting around town in,
in a
Lambo.
Yeah, she had a lot of toys. Yeah.
I love it. So I think that's great. Now, okay, so somehow then you got into selling cars. You said you were doing it in Canada, then you moved down here. How'd you get into selling cars here in Vegas?
So, I had a pretty big history in Canada for it. I went to school, and that's kind of how I got in the car business. I was going to school and buying and selling while I was in class. And when I came out here, when I got rid of the dealership in Canada, came here, I went to go look to buy a car because I came with one car when I moved. I eventually brought one car over, and I got a trade-in value that was so ridiculously low from a local dealer, and I was like, wow, there's no other cars. I'm looking around, there's nobody that has nice used stuff. There's really a hole in the market here, and I think after 08 that had a lot to do with it because it wiped a lot of people out. Yeah. And nobody really ever came back to Vegas. They're like, because Vegas got hit the hardest. I wasn't here for that, but I've heard about it, and I don't know if you were here for that.
I wasn't.
But I guess Vegas got really leveled at that point, right? And everybody did. But I think all the car guys at that point were gone. So when I came, Again, I'm looking for a car and I couldn't find a deal. I started looking outsourcing and saying, hey, there's LA, there's Arizona, there's these places, and they have more selection, but there's nobody in town here.
Yeah.
So I saw opportunity. I didn't want to get back in the car business.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm done.
Did you own a dealership in
I
Canada?
did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah,
what
I
were you
did.
selling in Canada?
All high-end exotics as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all high-end exotics as well.
So when you started selling cars, did you know that's the part of the market that I want to focus on?
Yeah, because it was the people that I wanted to be around. It was the culture that I wanted to be around, the culture I wanted to build. And when you're dealing with customers like that, you know, they say your network is your net worth, and you deal with people that it elevates you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one of the main reasons I wanted to be around that stuff. And I had a passion for exotic cars.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get into that. I didn't start just like that.
I understand it because I've only recently got into exotic cars, and it really changes a lot of things.
Yes.
People certainly view you differently, and you certainly feel differently when you're driving a car like that.
100%.
Absolutely.
It's invigorating.
Now, so how did you get Vegas Auto Gallery launched?
So I started with another company originally, and I had a partnership there. And you know, listen, coming from Canada, they don't really recognize your credit and stuff like that. So I had some uphill battles, to be very honest with you. And so I partnered with someone, and I got taken advantage of, which is unfortunate. But you know what? In everything bad, I always believe that there's a positive, and I learned a lot of lessons, and I learned a lot about, you know, things in the U.S. that were different than Canada.
Yeah.
And so I was able to take that and cultivate it back and start Vegas Auto Gallery from scratch, and just one car at a time.
Yeah.
And that's how I started it. Here, just opened a small little location and built it up.
So I'm guessing you were drawing also on your history and experience already selling exotic cars in Canada. And now it's like, okay, well, let's do it again, but this time we're going to do it like this.
Yeah. Oh, you take all the mistakes and all that stuff, and you're like, okay, well, this is going to do it again here. And when I had that falling out with, you know, with a partner, it wasn't even a falling out, I should say, but we're still great friends, but it's just two different visions.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
Yeah, it just didn't work. So, you know, and then I said, this is the baby. Now Vegas Auto Gallery is going to be the baby and start from scratch. And so you take all those things you learn along the way, and you put them into one pot to build a culture, to build the way the operation runs, everything like that. Yeah. That's how it started.
Well, I like to tell people, coming and visiting Vegas Auto Gallery, it's like going to a car show.
Yeah.
Because the cars that are here are just astonishing. You know, where can you walk in and see an Ariel Atom on a rack? Or I walked in here one day, there was a McLaren Senna. Yeah. You know, where do you go? The Ford GTs out here. It's astonishing collection of cars.
Thank you.
That you have here. But I wanted to touch on something else too, because you said a word that I didn't want to miss. You said the word culture.
Yeah.
And so I've talked with a lot of people. My car was here, and then when
it was parked right there.
Yeah, it was parked right there.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the final work before I picked up the car was at your other location over on Sahara.
Yes.
And all of the contact information, the links and everything will be in the description of this video, so you can look it up for yourself. Plus, it's all right here too. Yeah. So I got to meet a lot of the people that work at Vegas Auto Gallery, both locations. Yeah. And up to this point, everybody I've talked to really loves working here. So
I like hearing that.
Yeah.
I like hearing that.
And they've all been honest with me too. And so tell me about your culture vision for Vegas Auto Gallery.
I always said as big as we get is, you know, it's got to be a family thing. It's got to be a team. I'm not anything great. I just understand the car business. I understand what I do, and I get very deep into it, and I focus on that. But I have a full team that does everything around me, that everybody wears not one hat, but they wear 10 hats, and everybody's there to help each other. Like if a customer's coming in and someone's busy, the other gentleman's going to go help him out, but that doesn't mean they're splitting a deal. They're helping each other. It's just, you have to have that, you know, circle flow. The more you give, the more you get, the more you put out, the more it comes back, you know. And so the culture for me here is just treat it like a family business, treat it like your own business. I'll treat you guys like family. I don't come in and it's not stuffy. I don't want everybody to have to be all stuffy in here. Feel at home. Feel relaxed. You know what? One day you got to bring your kid to work. I'm not going to say anything to you. It's fine. I understand. We all have lives outside of work. And that's what a lot of companies don't understand. The culture is you have to make it where they don't feel like they're going to work. They just feel like they're going somewhere out for the day.
Yeah.
You know, and it's fun to be around. And these make it a little easier. The cars make it a little easier to be around, but the culture overall, everybody, like I said, everybody helps each other, and that's what I really focus on. It's got to be a family kind of mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not the Nick Dossa show when people come down here.
No, it's like, I don't even, sometimes people are like, oh, you're Nick Dossa. Yeah, hey, nice to meet you. And I'll kind of step away because, you know, they're like, oh, hey, I want to meet with you. I want to take a picture. It's cool, we can do that. But you're here for my people. Like, you know, let them have their own spotlight.
Yeah. So then, kind of piggybacking on that, how does that parlay into the philosophy towards your customers?
Mm-hmm. In what sense, though?
Well, you know, you make a family out of the people that work here, but how about the people that come in and buy cars from you?
Look what we're doing right now, right?
Can't argue with that.
Right? Look what we're doing. So it's just, you gotta be open and receptive to new ideas and getting pitched on things and wanting to do things with your customers. I do rallies, I do coffees and cars. I'll take my customers for dinner. I'll get a bunch of them. If I know they're like-minded people, I'll say, hey, you know what, you should probably meet Brian. You should meet so-and-so. You guys would definitely do something.
Yeah, just like we were talking a few minutes ago.
Yeah, just you got to meet people, and that it becomes its own whole culture in a sense, and those people want to hang out with you, and you do drives together, and you'll end up going for dinners and events and concerts and whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like you're not just selling cars, you're making friends.
Yeah, you're making friends. These are all friendship kind of style businesses and deals. These are not needs, these are all wants. Yeah. Anybody that's buying a car here, at least at this specific location, it's a want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, although I think I needed a Lamborghini.
Everybody needs a Lamborghini.
That's just me. That's just me. Let's come back to cars for just a minute. You personally, I don't want to get into what you own or don't own, but what are some of your favorite cars? It can be classic, it can be modern. What are some of your personal favorites?
I'll give you two that I do own. I actually it's so funny. We did a rally the other day, and so I have an 18 GT2 RS.
Yeah.
It's called the Widowmaker, right?
Yeah.
And everybody knows what that car is. It's one of the best Porsche I think was ever built. I had that. Someone saw me driving it. I never pull it out. It's been parked here. You might have seen it. The matte black one that was sitting around.
Yes.
I took it out. Someone sees it on my Instagram. I gotta have that car. Like, it's not for sale. I gotta have that. So, well, it's gone now, but I owned it up until last week. So that was one of them, the GT2 RS.
And I know the guy that bought it too.
There you go. So he's like, I gotta have it.
Yeah, he gets his way.
Yeah, he just would not stop. He's like, like, it's dirty. He's like, I don't care. Yeah. Bring it to me now, please. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I have a 91 965 turbo. That's the one I grew up with on the wall. So
you like Porsches?
I like Porsches. I'm a Porsche guy. I like Porsches. I mean, I like a little bit of everything, but that's just, I think those two, the GT2 came after, but the 91 Porsche was something I always saw in the picture. Right. And I said, that's just, I got to have that.
So you've got them.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you had at least
had one. Yeah, one. I'm down to one, but I got a few other toys.
Yeah. Is there one that got away that you wish you had it back?
Oh.
Besides the GT.
There's a few that got away. There's a few that got away. Yeah, an SLR I had. Yeah. I had an SLR and I owned it really good. Yeah. And had I not sold it, or even there was another one, an SLS with 100 miles, white SLS. Remember that market went crazy for a while there. Yeah. I think I owned that car for 80 grand back then. At one point, there were $500,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
You said market. Let's talk about the market for just a second. The car market, I don't know how to get a beat on the car market right now. Used cars, prices are real high. Yeah. New cars, seems like prices are a little bit lower than they used to be. Mm-hmm. How do you see the market generally right now for cars?
It's changing. It's changing drastically and fast. Everything's adjusting. I think that, during COVID, everything went crazy high. It was unrealistic. You'd buy a car, you could put your hand up and say, I'm buying that, and then you could take it down the street and say, I'm selling it for X, and you'd make a profit no matter what. Right. Until the end user had it. Yeah. Now, everything's just going back to kind of what it was prior, but that adjustment period is really gonna snap on some people for sure, because it hurts, because there's guys that paid $50,000, $100,000 over sticker, and you're getting 30 grand, 40 grand backup sticker. That's a
Ouch.
that's a big pill to swallow. Most
Yeah.
people can't swallow that. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen the same thing in the watch market.
Oh yeah,
You
I'm
know?
a big watch guy, and
Yeah.
that's another thing. Just like in a week, 50
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah. Now, you know, of course, Rolex has gone into the pre-owned market now, and
Yeah.
and what you sell here, at least everything that I can see here, is pre-owned.
Yeah.
So how do you see, I hate to call it the used car market, but the pre-owned market, are the values holding for pre-owned?
It depends on what you have pre-owned.
Yeah.
See, like we specialize in low mile, clean, very clean, like the right options, the right colors, the right, build.
Yeah.
Then it'll hold. But if
Yeah.
you're just buying a used car, generic, black,
Yeah.
no. So there's
Yeah.
10 of them out there for sale.
Well, I can tell you honestly, the spec on the Lambo that I bought here
One of my
was
favorites.
absolutely perfect. I couldn't have picked better myself if I
Blue
would have
Cepheus.
Yeah, Blue Cepheus, yeah. And everywhere I go with that car, people are like, wow, look at the color on this car.
That's what makes it unique.
Yeah, and I did have the opportunity to see it up on a rack too, and the undercarriage looked brand spanking new. It was only, I think, 2,300 miles or 2,100 miles on the car when I got it.
Clean cars are the key. You gotta think when I sell a car, I have to put my name on it,
Yeah.
and I have to guarantee it, and I stand behind the stuff I sell.
Yeah,
If you buy a car and there's an issue, I'm gonna stand behind you. I'm not gonna say, oh, that's your problem. It doesn't
Yeah.
work like that.
yeah,
So I gotta make sure everything's perfect. Like this car here in front of you has 2,300 miles, but it's a 2018.
yeah.
So I wouldn't call that used. I'd call that slightly driven.
Slightly driven.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah.
Slightly driven. Let's just talk just for a second, because I think it's almost like the elephant in the room.
Sure.
Electric cars.
Yeah.
Electric cars.
We're a Lotus dealer. Trust me, I'm building another facility right now that we're going to be breaking ground on here in the near future, and I have to do a lot of electric stuff to basically be compatible with what's going to come in the future. But that
Right.
goes ahead of being ahead of the time. Electric's definitely coming.
Yeah.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah.
It's about when are they going to enforce it. However, it's still dripping into the market a little bit. I like them. The new Lotus SUV that's coming out is like 900 something horsepower. I went and saw it. We had a private viewing. Car's unreal. So, now that they can get rid of some of that motor component, there's more room to do things. There's more configurations, crazier lines they can do to make things look crazier, because you don't have this big block in the middle. So in that sense, it's cool. I think the younger generation is adapting to electric more so.
Yeah.
It's us guys that are like, oh, I love that smell of gas. And now you ask a 21-year-old, hey, do you like the smell of gas? He's like, ugh, gross.
Yeah. We're the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I want it fast. I want it fast, 0 to 60 in X amount of seconds, right? So it's going to be easily adopted.
Yeah.
But we have to adopt, and it changes our business model too, because we got to specialize in electric now for matters. Like, so I buy stuff now, Taycans, Teslas, all that stuff. We have it all in inventory.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we're just not going to have a choice.
Yep, you got to take it.
And I wanted to mention something else too, because we haven't brought it up, because we've been talking about pre-owned or slightly driven cars, but you're a brand new Lotus dealer as well. So tell us about the Lotus side of the business.
So we have 2 locations. We're the top producing Lotus service already. Took a brand that was kind of hurting for a long time, and got the opportunity to get it. It was a blessing, and since we took it, it's been nothing but great. And everybody's like, oh, you're crazy to spend that much money for a Lotus brand. Well, you know what? 6 months after we had it, all these announcements come out. We're dropping an SUV, we're dropping a sedan, we're dropping a new Emira, we got the Avaya, we got all, it's like, wow. And so, honestly, I think Lotus is really gonna pick up again, and they're gonna become like just a household name again sooner than later,
So some of the new cars they come out with are just gorgeous.
I've seen stuff, I can't talk about what's coming too much, but I've seen stuff that's gonna be like, people are like, holy cow. Yeah, a lot of customers that have some big car collections are like, hey, I want that Lotus, I want this, I want that. Yeah,
we're at the Palm Center Drive location, which is the Lotus dealership, and the slightly driven high-end exotic cars here. What is primarily over at the Sahara address?
So that's also a Lotus location now, and there's still higher end stuff there as well. It's just some of this stuff with our heat in Vegas has to stay inside. At least I like it like that.
Yeah.
When you're going to go spend 300,000 on a car, you don't want to be outside sweating.
Yeah.
So we try to do some of it indoors. That was our concept from the beginning.
What do you see in your experience as being good investment cars at this point?
Good investment cars. I mean, if you're into the hypercars kind of stuff, there's definitely some stuff that you can sit and hold on.
Yeah.
The Ford GT's always been a classic. If you're going to play in that space, you're never going to lose. It's always going to go up over time.
Yeah.
Will they come down? Yes.
Yeah.
Will they go back up? Yes.
Yeah.
But if you're buying something like this, or like your Lamborghini, that's not an investment. That's I bought it to drive it, to enjoy it, and you're going to lose money on it over time. But that's it, because there's newer models, right?
Right.
There's always so many Ford GTs or Porsche 918s or McLaren Sennas or a P1. That's the stuff that people buy, and they just say, okay, I'm just going to sit on this.
Yeah.
Or there's some new, like that Hellcat,
Yeah.
that they're going to discontinue, the Demon, etc.
Yeah.
Some people are speculative in holding those and buying them, but I think there's just too many of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think that they'll hold like they think they will, unless they're going to hold it for 30 years. But there's something you can hold for 3 years that'll make you a lot more than that in 30.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know just from the things that I watch, it seems like the hypercars are the cars that seem to hold their value fairly well over especially a short span of time. It seems like some guys that own the hypercars, they kind of turn them over. They don't hold on to them forever.
No, because they're a nuisance to maintain.
Yeah.
Whether you drive it or not, it's costing you money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you gotta weigh out your options. But some people buy them for art.
Yeah.
Just to have that in your garage, and you have a nice garage, you got good setup. You gotta have art.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, a lot of the cars that are, especially here in this particular showroom, it is art. Very easily park this in the living room. And,
very easily.
It's better than watching TV.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just look at the car.
You notice something new every single time you look at it.
Yeah. Now, something else I wanted to touch on, because I just recently bought a Lamborghini here, and I, never bought any car like that before in my life. Do you have any advice for somebody that's trying to get into what we might call at least the entry-level supercar? How does a guy do that, or a girl?
It's a lot of it is we hold ourselves back with our mindset. Believe it or not, it's a lot easier than you think to get into a car like that. There's a lot of options available: financing, leasing, etc.
Yeah.
And they don't really require much. Like, it's not like 10 years ago where, hey, you have to pay cash and no one's going to give you a loan on an exotic. It doesn't exist, right? You can get a loan, you can get leased on it, and there's really good packages that they offer. We offer them. So don't set the dream too far away. It's actually very attainable. I've kids like 20 years old, 21 years old that come in, and I have older gentlemen that come in, and women, and etc., entrepreneurs. It's just, you got to come talk to us, and I'll kind of get a feel for you. Just like you go to a tailor and he makes you a suit, come to me, come to us, we'll guide you the right direction. And that's what we specialize in, is how do we make that dream end up in your driveway, right? That's the key. So if there's a way to do it, we're going to figure it out for you and help you get there.
Yeah, you're so quotable. How to make that dream end up in your driveway? I love that. Is that like on a wall here somewhere?
No, I know.
It ought to be, because that's a good one. We should write that one down.
Right.
Okay, so lastly, piece of advice for someone looking to buy their first exotic car.
Don't be afraid to just pull the trigger. Yeah, just do it. Just do it, because I'm a firm believer in you have to make yourself uncomfortable to get ahead. Most people will overthink it. I got to pay this, I got to pay that, I got to pay this. And you have the money to do it. Just don't overthink it. Just do it. If you do it, you'll find a way to make more money. You'll find a way to make that payment work. You'll find a way. It always works. You cannot just, people that are so scared, that's not good. You just got to just do it.
Don't underestimate yourself.
Pretty much, yeah. Just pull the trigger.
Excellent. Anything else you want to add about yourself or Vegas Auto Gallery?
No, I appreciate all our customers and our staff, and again, I'm nothing without them, and we're nothing without our customers. So I love referrals. I love doing stuff like this, and we should do a follow-up soon.
I'd be glad to do that, absolutely. Yeah. And again, for anybody watching the video, the links to Vegas Auto Gallery will be right in the description. Nick, thank you so much
Very
for
welcome.
taking the time to do it. Really appreciate it.
Of course.
And I'll see you around.
Oh, I'm sure.
Thank you.